Hi folks, today we're working again on the 1975 Skidoo Olympic. Today we're going to look at the fuel pump. I took it apart. It's dead simple. You can't even really screw up putting it back together. So I've done it before on other machines. Never really any dirt or anything in there, but it's good to take it apart, clean it. I'll show you what I used. I used the electronic ultrasonic cleaner, and you can see over my back I've got the picture of the snowmobile on the big screen. The other thing you want to make sure when you're starting to disassemble these things is don't disassemble until you've taken a lot of pictures, videos, whatever. I had to refer to it today, flipping through the pictures. Handy to have it on the big screen, and as I'm rerunning some of the wiring and things like that, just you can't remember whether you took it apart yesterday, whether you took it apart 5 years ago. So take those pictures, you'll be glad you had them. Okay, so let's take a look into the parts and pieces and we'll go from there. This ultrasonic cleaner is what I use for washing all the parts. Why does it look a little weird? Well, this is just a glass bottle, big glass bottle with gasoline in it. Gasoline is a fantastic cleaner. You could use Simple Green. There's all kinds of other types of cleaners. I just happen to have gas available. Put it in there. Put all the parts. All the parts carefully in there so they don't splash. Set the lid on, and just gently, and turn on the timer and hit start. I'll run it for 5 or 10 minutes. Take the parts out, take the whole can out, drain it into a bucket, pull all the parts out. Put all the gas back in, or put the gas back in first actually, and then the parts are all left in the bottom of the bucket, and then I can take and wash them in just soapy water, get them all nice and clean. Some of the gas parts I won't put them back in the water, of course. Just air dry them. Compressed air works good. So that's the cleaning section. Okay, on the pump, this gasket was nicely stuck on here, so I didn't bother pulling it off. The next that goes on is this plastic sheet. Which way does it go? Well, you basically have to line up. You can see these two little spots in here, and they're not identical. So obviously this thing has to go. It has the same kind of, it's hard to see. As soon as I lay it on, you can see, but there's basically the only way it'll go. There's two pins here, so the pins have to go like so. And the next is the rubber part, and which way does it go? Well, it's obviously not going to go this way because, again, these two little flappies have to match with these two flappies, and the holes have to match. No, that only way those pins will match is this way. No. So really, there's only one way that it'll go. Lastly, the body part. Which way does that go? This way or this way? Well, if you line it up here, the back doesn't line up. It's hanging over. So obviously, it goes that way. So can't really screw that one up, and just put your screws in, snug it all up, and it'll be ready to go back on the machine. I needed some clamps to make sure that these hoses don't come off, because they're not necessarily, they've just been shoved on. In the old system they're shoved on, but as they age and vibration, etc., they can come off. So I wanted some little tiny clamps and I didn't know what to use. Did some research, found people talking about these clamps made from wire. And you could buy a fancy dancy tool. But I thought, you know what, for the little job I'm doing, I don't need a whole tool. I just need to wrap this wire and see how tight it can get. And actually I can get it very tight. Here's one I've done here. And you can see that it's pulled in on the hose. The hose is, there's no way it's going to come tight, or come off rather. It's tight as anything. So I'll just show you what I did. I'm just using copper wire. I'm going to start here. See if I can do this. If you can see it. You wrap it around twice. Once. Twice. And at that point, it has to bend across the top. And they're going to wrap it twice. So this one was wrapping from the center to the outside. Now we're starting from the outside. Now, you'll see the other ways on the internet how you can wrap these things and make them. But for my purpose, I just do it right in place rather than doing it separate and sliding it over. So basically, it's just a loop that goes around, under itself, back around, and under there. And then at this point, if I just take my needle nose here, I just kind of pull up on it and wiggle it back and forth. You can see that it's pulled the hose nice and tight in there. So at this point, then I make sure that these are all together. Sometimes I've had to squeeze that up. And just go in with your needle nose. Just squeeze that down like that. Bend that over. Clip the ends off. And then just take a little tack hammer. And there you go. So I think I can give you a nice close-up here. So the loop starts looped, and then the two ends go down, up, around, back through the original loop, and bend over. Nicely squeezed. You can see that tubing is nicely squeezed over the barb. There's no way that that's going to come off. It's working very good for me. You can check it out on the internet and find other videos on it, whatever. But for the job I'm doing, perfect.